Okay. So good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Till now, we have studied about many things about the microbes. The first thing is we have studied the bacterial anatomy. In the bacterial anatomy, we discussed about the structure of the bacteria. Like bacteria is having some internal structure as well as some external structure. External structure means bacteria is having the first one is the capsule, which is present or may not be present. Then bacteria is having the cell wall. Then bacteria is having the plasma membrane, the cytoplasm, and inside the cytoplasm there are genetic materials. First one is the main genetic material or DNA. Okay, without nuclear membrane, that is called as the nucleoid. And then bacteria is also having one extra chromosomal material that we call it as a plasmids. Then we moved further and we start to classify the bacteria. In the classification of bacteria, we are done with the classification of bacteria based on shape. In that, we discussed about there are main three shapes. One is a round or oval shape called as coccus. Then there is a one rod shape called as bacillus, and then again spiral shape. So we have the three classification based on the shape. Now in today's class, we will discuss about the bacterial classification, of course, on the basis of oxygen requirement. See, if you're talking about the bacterial physiology, what is the physiology? Yeah. Physiology is basically a study of function, and it is the study of function of body. So if talking about the bacterial physiology, then we have to understand the bacterial respiration. How do bacteria respire? As a human, how you are performing the respiration phenomenon? Anyone? Exhalation, inhalation. First inhalation, then exhalation. Isn't it? First you take the oxygen, then you will expel out the carbon dioxide. Okay, that is a basic respiration mechanism is present in us. What do you think? Bacteria do respire? Bacteria need oxygen? Yes. Bacteria need oxygen?
Yes.
You. Bacteria need oxygen or not for their survival? Yes. Is all bacteria is needed the oxygen? All bacteria require oxygen for their survival?
No.
No. It means there are some bacteria who need oxygen for their survival. And there are certain category of bacteria who do not need oxygen, oxygen. It means we have the main two broad classification on the basis of oxygen requirement. The first one is called as, very good, the bacteria which do not need the oxygen, for their survival, they are called as the anaerobes, okay, or anaerobic bacteria. Fine. And the bacteria which need the oxygen, they are called as the aerobic bacteria. Let me tell you the brief evolutionary story, then we will proceed ahead and we will discuss this classification in detail. The thing is, you can say 300 million ago. How much million? 300 million ago. Probably you studied in class 12, there was one chapter called as evolution. How many you studied? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You studied evolution? Boys? No? No? Boys are usually not studying. You studied? What is mean by the evolution?
Changing of living.
Changing of living.
Living experience.
Means suppose, like today I am wearing a shirt, tomorrow I will wear a skirt. It means what? It means I evolved.
सर्वाइव करने के तरीका में
survive लाना, yes, some extent correct. Anyone can define in a more perfect way? What do you, when you heard the word evolution, what comes in your mind? Evolution. Yes? No idea? No idea? What you studied in that time? Simply studied, there is a one chapter in class 12th biology called as the evolution. That's it. See, evolution is basically a story. It is a story. A story of what? A story of how we came in this planet, how life evolved basically, how life evolved. So initially, when life forms started evolving in this planet, okay, there were no oxygen. There were no oxygen. The environment was completely without oxygen. Without oxygen. There is no any oxygen. Means basically there is no ozone layer. There is no ozone layer. And bacteria comes around 300 millions ago. 300 millions ago. Bacteria came in this planet. And because there was no oxygen, okay, so they are adapting the environment, or they are surviving without the oxygen. Without the oxygen, it means most of the bacteria on this time period was anaerobic. There is no oxygen. Now, bacteria start evolving. They are using the without the oxygen. I mean, they are surviving. And after some years, around 200, after this 200 years ago, bacteria, there is one bacteria called as the cyanobacteria. Have you heard about cyanobacteria? Yes? Cyanobacteria. This is the first aerobic bacteria. This is the first aerobic bacteria. Write it down. This cyanobacteria is a aerobic bacteria. First time it came into the existence, okay, it came into the existence, and they are start producing the oxygen. They started to producing a oxygen. Initially there was no oxygen, okay. Bacteria are using the another gases, another substrate for their survival. After 200 millions, after this 200 millions years, one bacteria came called as the cyanobacteria. This bacteria start producing the oxygen by taking the carbon dioxide. There where the methane gas are predominantly present, okay, in this era. Fine. So they start taking the methane gases or carbon dioxide, and they start producing the oxygen. Okay. So there is the advantage between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So basically we are dividing the bacteria on the basis of oxygen requirement into the two types. The one type is called as the aerobic. Don't write first aerobic, first write anaerobic, because anaerobic bacteria came first. So anaerobic bacteria, okay, and there is a, okay, there is a aerobic bacteria. Come, aerobic bacteria. So first anaerobic bacteria came, and they are using the other gases, not the oxygen. But when cyanobacteria came, they start producing the oxygen. They start producing the oxygen. Now there is an advantage. There is an advantage to produce the oxygen, okay, or to need the oxygen. Fine. So advantage is that when bacteria is not using the oxygen, when bacteria is not using the oxygen for their survival, they are producing the less energy. They are producing the less energy. Whereas when bacteria utilizes the oxygen for their survival, they produce more energy. And it is quite simple. The bacteria which produce lots of energy, they will survive more. They will survive more. And the bacteria who do not produce much energy, they will survive less. They will survive less. So most of the anaerobic bacteria, they evolve into the aerobic bacteria. They evolve into the aerobic bacteria. Fine, means basically they thought that okay, now the anaerobic environment is not comfortable for me, and as a humans we do not want to do the uncomfortable things, isn't it? We do not want to do the uncomfortable things. Bacteria also like the same thing. Bacteria also do not want to do the uncomfortable things. They always want to be in a comfort zone. So they will change into the aerobic bacteria. They will change into the aerobic bacteria and they start producing the more and more energy. Now, I'm using the word survival. I'm using the word survival. That bacteria is using basically oxygen for their survival. Bacteria is not using the oxygen for their survival. And on the basis of that, we are dividing the bacteria into the two categories. Now, what is mean by the survival? Why oxygen is needed? The one hand, you as a common layman persons, they thought that okay, oxygen is for respiration purpose. We respire, that's why we are alive. No. Respiration won't alone make you can say survive in this planet, isn't it? You need a basically energy, you need basically a energy. So oxygen is used to extract the energy, suppose first we take the example of human. Suppose you take in the glucose, basically rice, okay, which is basically went to your GIT, and in the GIT there are subsequential enzymatic reactions, basically a catabolic reaction, breakdown of the rice, and eventually you get the oxygen. Now that oxygen is again going to break down, yes, into the, yes, oxygen is, glucose is again break down into the, yeah, the final thing which we are obtaining from the glucose or any other, you can say the substrate, the metabolic substrate is the ATP. Is the ATP, which is basically your energy currency, fine. So the thing is, in the anaerobic bacteria, less ATP is produced. Got the point? In the anaerobic bacteria, less ATP is produced, whereas in the aerobic bacteria, more ATP is produced. Are you getting my point? Yeah. So energy wise, who is more efficient? That is the aerobic bacteria. Whereas in the case of anaerobic bacteria, there is a less ATP production. No problem. Getting the points? Now, you understood the evolutionary history? Is there any doubt? No? Now let's move ahead and discuss a bit more about the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. The one thing I am more emphasizing is that here the less energy is produced and here the more energy is produced. Now, as we know that this is the good as compared to energy, why this is the good. Now what do you think? A good man always have all the things about them is a good? What do you think? There is a one person, fine, who is considered as a good person. Is there no any chances to have any bad things in their personality? Yes? Are you understanding? Like suppose एक आदमी है, ठीक है? There is a one person और उसके अंदर उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं कि he is a good person. तो आप लोगों को क्या लगता है कि वो लाइफ में हमेशा गुड ही रहता है? There must be any dark side. No, there must be any dark side. The same things happen with the aerobic bacteria too. The aerobic bacteria do have one dark side, and that is when you are continuously, our cell or any bacterial cell is exposed to the oxygen, okay, there is something produced, and that something is called as the ROS, reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species called as ROS. Getting the point? So basically, whenever you are getting the oxygen, Okay, this oxygen goes inside your cell through the respiration, fine. And the one hand, two things is continuously happening in your body. The one hand, your glucose is going to break down. Okay, carbohydrates break down into the glucose. Glucose goes to the glycolysis pathway and eventually produce the pyruvate. Now this pyruvate is going to the Krebs cycle, fine. And from the Krebs cycle, there will be a production of electron. There is a production of the electron. This electron is basically a energy that all NADPH. Okay, getting the point? NADPH and all the stuff. And now then what happens? These electrons is accepted by the oxygen. Fine. So oxygen will accept this electron and produce the ATP. Got it? But what happened? Sometimes there will be a oxygen which is a free, that is called as the radical, oxygen radical. And these oxygen radicals, they are dangerous since they are causing a cancer, because they are going to interact with your genetic material, the nucleic acid, DNA. Getting the point? They are going to react with your protein, they are going to react with your fat. Are you getting my point? Basically what we are discussing that every good things have a bad side, a dark side, fine. So aerobic bacteria is good as far as the ATP production is concerned. Are you getting my point? More ATP is producing here because they are utilizing the oxygen. But the one dark side is that due to the continuous exposure of oxygen, okay, sometimes there will be accumulation of free oxygens, and that free oxygen is cannot utilized by our body, or even the bacterial body, fine. So they are going to accumulate it. Wherever they are accumulated, they are causing the destruction. When it goes to suppose the nucleic acid, the genetic material, they are causing the, you can say, the disruption or any mutation in the genetic material, fine. When it goes to the protein, they will destroy the protein structure. Are you getting my point? Yes? Understanding? Not understanding? Tell me if you're not understanding, I will again explain. Not understanding? Not? Okay, fine. Which language you prefer?
Hindi.
Yes? Just keep quiet. English? Hindi? Okay, sit. So basically हम लोग अभी पढ़ रहे हैं कि देयर आर बैक्टीरिया, फाइन. अगर हम लोग हिस्ट्री में जाते हैं, इवोल्यूशन में बात करते हैं, इवोल्यूशन का मतलब होता है ये एक बेसिकली एक कहानी है. इट इज लाइक अ स्टोरी जो हमें बताता है कि हम कैसे इस पृथ्वी पे सर्वाइव करना स्टार्ट किए. नॉट ओनली अस, नॉट ओनली ह्यूमन, कैसे छोटे छोटे जीव, माइक्रोब्स, पेड़ पौधे, प्लांट्स, ये कैसे इस पृथ्वी पे आए और कैसे सर्वाइव करते हुए ये अभी तक जिंदा है. इसका कहानी को हम लोग इवोल्यूशन बोलते हैं. तो अगर हम इवोल्यूशन में झांक के देखते हैं तो हमें पता चलता है कि 300 मिलियन साल पहले, 300 मिलियन अगो, बैक्टीरियाज इस पृथ्वी पे आना स्टार्ट हुए. ठीक है. वो जो जितने भी बैक्टीरिया आए वो एनाएरोबिक थे, वो ऑक्सीजन प्रोड्यूस नहीं करते थे. ठीक है. उन्हें ऑक्सीजन की आवश्यकता नहीं थी उसके जीवन यापन करने के लिए, बिकॉज ऑक्सीजन तभी प्रेजेंट नहीं था. गेटिंग द पॉइंट. बट उसके 2 साल बाद क्या हुआ, तो कुछ बैक्टीरिया इवॉल्व हुए जो कि ऑक्सीजन प्रोड्यूस करना स्टार्ट किए. ठीक है. उस बैक्टीरिया को हम लोग बोलते हैं साइनोबैक्टीरिया. दैट बैक्टीरिया इज कॉल्ड एज द साइनोबैक्टीरिया. फाइन. नाउ दिस साइनोबैक्टीरिया इज द एरोबिक बैक्टीरिया. तो इसने क्या किया, ऑक्सीजन प्रोड्यूस करना एनवायरनमेंट में स्टार्ट किया. ओके. एंड ऑक्सीजन यूटिलाइज करना स्टार्ट किया. द एनवायरनमेंट बिकम्स द, यू कैन से, एरोबिक एनवायरनमेंट. ठीक. अब ऑक्सीजन बहुत सारा इस एनवायरनमेंट में आ गया है. द थिंग इज देयर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ओजोन लेयर. तो हमारे लेयर, एक ओजोन का एक लेयर हमारे एटमॉस्फेयर में आ गया. दैट इज द मेन वन थिंग. सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट जो एनाएरोबिक बैक्टीरिया थे, जो ऑक्सीजन को यूटिलाइज नहीं करते थे, जो सबसे पहले आए थे पृथ्वी पे, उसमें और जो अभी एरोबिक हो गए हैं, जो ऑक्सीजन को यूटिलाइज करने लगे, उन दोनों में अंतर बस इतना ही था कि जो एनाएरोबिक बैक्टीरिया थे, जो ऑक्सीजन यूटिलाइज नहीं करते थे, वो कम एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करते थे. ठीक है. the very much goal of our respiration is to produce the energy, the main goal, main target क्या है ऑक्सीजन लेने का, कि हम उससे क्या करें, तो एनर्जी प्राप्त करें, एनर्जी बनाए. गॉट इट. नाउ तो एरोबिक बैक्टीरिया में लेस एटीपी बन रहे थे और एरोबिक बैक्टीरिया में बहुत ज्यादा एटीपी बन रहे थे. ठीक, तो बहुत सारे बैक्टीरिया स्विच कर गए, वो कन्वर्ट हो गए एरोबिक बैक्टीरिया में फॉर देयर बेटर सर्वाइवल, स्टिल कुछ बैक्टीरिया रह गए हैं जो कि एनारोबिक थे, उन्हें अभी भी ऑक्सीजन की आवश्यकता नहीं है उनके सर्वाइवल के लिए. गेटिंग द पॉइंट? यस. ओके. नाउ तो हमने एक चीज और डिस्कस किया कि लाइक किसी भी व्यक्ति के बारे में अगर हम कुछ बात करते हैं कि वो अच्छा है, तो कोई भी जीव जंतु या कुछ भी चीज एंटायरली प्योर नहीं है और एंटायरली यू कैन से गुड नहीं है. यू माइट बी थिंकिंग कि तुम आते हो, क्लास करते हो, पढ़ाई करते हो, अपना काम से मतलब रखते हो एंड यू आर गुड. नो, still you are sitting in the classroom and by your speaking you are destroying the bacteria. तो तुम बैक्टीरिया के लिए तो हार्मफुल ही कर रहे हो. या फिर कितना लोग इस पृथ्वी पे होगा जो चाहता होगा कि तुम नहीं पढ़ो, फिर भी तुम पढ़ रहे हो, तो उसके लिए तो तुम बुरा ही हो गए. आर यू गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? तुम ऐसा नहीं है कि तुम पूरे तरीके से अच्छे हो, ओके और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि तुम पूरे तरीके से बुरे हो. यू आर इन द mid. The first thing. Second thing is that you don't need to be a good person, entirely good person. The first thing is you can't. No matter how much effort you are putting to be a best or be a greater or be a good person, ऐसा good person जो किसी को नुकसान नहीं पहुंचाए, ऐसा तुम कभी भी नहीं बन सकते हो. तुम, लेकिन मेन गोल क्या होना चाहिए? जितना अच्छा कर सकते हैं भाई, जितना मेरे हाथ में उतना मैं करूं. As much as I can make the good things, okay, मैं वो करूं. गोल हमेशा हमारे दिमाग में यही रहना चाहिए. तो इसका भी डार्क साइड था. वो डार्क साइड ये है कि कंटिन्यूअस एक्सपोजर जब ऑक्सीजन का होता है, ठीक है, तो क्या होता है, तो कुछ ऑक्सीजन रेडिकल्स, कुछ ऑक्सीजन जमा हो जाते हैं सेल के अंदर में. ठीक है, फ्री वाले ऑक्सीजन क्या होते हैं, वो जमा हो जाता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द रेडिकल्स, ऑक्सीजन रेडिकल्स. एंड दैट ऑक्सीजन रेडिकल बेसिकली स्टार्ट एक्यूमुलेटिंग इन द सेल एंड कॉजिंग द सेल डिस्ट्रक्शन. वो सेल के अंदर में इकट्ठा होना स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं और वो क्या करते हैं, तो वो सेल को डिस्ट्रॉय करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं. गेटिंग द पॉइंट? यू मे बी एंड अप विद द प्री मैच्योर एजिंग एज कंपेयर टू द ह्यूमंस. इंसान बूढ़े क्यों हो जाते हैं? लाइक खाना तो वो खाते ही रहते हैं, इजंट इट? दुनिया तो ऐसे ही रहता है, बट ये बूढ़े क्यों हो जाते हैं? तो वन ऑफ द रीजन टू बीइंग एज्ड, बूढ़े होने का कारण यही है कि आपके शरीर में ये रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीसीज का मॉलिक्यूल जमा होने स्टार्ट हो जाता है. स्किन में आपके रिंकल्स आने स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं. देखते हैं बूढ़े का स्किन कैसा होता है, सिकुड़ जाता है, झुर्री पड़ जाना. वेरी गुड. ठीक है, वो क्यों होता है? बिकॉज देयर विल बी अ एक्यूमुलेशन ऑफ रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीसीज. Now the question is कि okay, now we studied that कि ऐसे कहानी and everything is happening. It means like is there no any protective mechanism? Because मैंने आपको शुरू के क्लास से ही बोलना ये चीज स्टार्ट किया है, is that कि हमारा शरीर हमेशा वही चीज को रखता है which is essential for us. अदर जो खराब चीज होता है उसको ट्राई करता है एलिमिनेट आउट करने का. तो क्या हमारा शरीर या बैक्टीरिया का शरीर इस चीज को एलिमिनेट आउट करने का कोशिश नहीं करेगा? कुछ तो होना चाहिए, नहीं तो ऐसे में होगा भाई साहब तो पूरा दुनिया ही खत्म हो जाएगा. If there will be no any, you can say the protective mechanism from this reactive oxygen species, then organism will get easily destroyed. No, they won't survive long. So for that purpose, the bacteria or as a humans we developed certain protective enzyme that is called as the antioxidants. Enzymes. The very good antioxidant is the amla. Amla you know? Yes? English it is called as the gooseberries. So they are the rich source of antioxidants. Are you getting my points? Basically that gooseberry contains those enzymes which basically destroy this reactive oxygen species, or they are making this reactive oxygen species neutral. Okay, they are making this reactive oxygen species neutral. Getting the point? Yes? Everyone? Then smile, no. If you are getting the thing, then smile. Then I will feel, okay, you are really understanding. Fine. So this is all about the story. Now we will move further and we will classify. Like the classification is same, aerobic and anaerobic, and we will see the examples. Clear? You retain these all things? Yes? Retain?